Welcome everyone to another segment of Moments with the Master. My name is Brother Renthian Pickney, and I'm one of the ministers and deacons here at the Trinity Gardens Church of Christ. And today, brothers and sisters, I want to talk to you about why we as Christians should learn to leave the past in the past. Why we as Christians should learn to leave the past in the past. And the text I want to use to highlight this point is found in Luke chapter 19, verses 1 through 10. Luke chapter 19, verses 1 through 10. And if you have your Bibles, I ask that you read along with me. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and he was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but being a short man, he could not because of the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to murmur, "He has gone to be the guest of a sinner." But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount." Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save what was lost." In this text, we find Jesus, who is passing through a city called Jericho. And as he's passing, a tax collector by the name of Zacchaeus wants to get a glimpse of him. But because of the crowd, he can't, so he ends up climbing into a sycamore tree. And when Jesus gets to the spot where he's at, he tells Zacchaeus to come down immediately. "I need to go and stay in your house." Now, it's a few reasons why Jesus said that in front of the crowd, that he needed to go and stay in Zacchaeus' house. Number one, he wanted to show the people that the Son of Man, that the Son of God was willing to fellowship with anyone who was willing to accept his message. That he was willing to fellowship with anyone who was willing to accept his message. But the second reason why he did it is to show the crowd that Zacchaeus had changed. That Zacchaeus had changed. You have to understand that because Zacchaeus was a tax collector, he was considered to be a vile and detestable person. Tax collectors in the New Testament were looked down upon. They were considered to be some of the lowest people in the New Testament. Because what tax collectors would do, they would collect taxes for the Roman government. But then they would overly tax the people. And whatever money that they overly taxed the people for, they would take that money and get wealthy off of that money. And because of that, and even those, especially Jews who were tax collectors, they were considered to be traitors. And because of that, tax collectors were looked down upon. And Jesus was trying to show the people that he was willing to fellowship with anyone, and that Zacchaeus has changed. But there's a few things that we can learn, a few lessons we can learn from this text. Number one is that when we have made mistakes in the past, we must be willing to admit we have made mistakes. When we have made mistakes in the past, we must be willing to admit that we have made those mistakes. Sometimes in life, we can't move forward in our life because we haven't acknowledged the past or the mistakes we made in the past. Sometimes people have a hard time admitting when they are wrong. But when you admit when you are wrong, when you admit that you have made a mistake, you allow Jesus to come into your life and to help you deal with any issues that may have caused you to make those mistakes. But the second thing, or in addition to that, when you admit when you are wrong, it also helps you to learn from your mistakes. It helps you to learn from your mistakes. You have people who are walking around right now who never learn from their mistakes because they are living under the concept that they never made a mistake, that they can justify anything that you or I may consider to be a mistake in their life. So they don't learn from the mistake. So when you admit that you have made a mistake, it helps you to learn from your mistake. But it also, when you make a mistake, it helps others to forgive you. And it also helps you to forgive yourself when you admit your mistakes. The second thing we can learn from this text is that we must be willing to tell others we are sorry. We must be willing to tell others we are sorry when we have wronged them. If you look at verse 8, Zacchaeus stood up before God, and he stood up before the crowd, and he said, look, Lord, I'm going to give half of what I own, half of what my possessions to the poor, and anybody who I've cheated, I'm going to pay them back 4 times. What Zacchaeus was ultimately saying was that I'm sorry for the wrong I may have done. That I'm sorry for the wrong I may have done. When you tell others you are sorry, you help them to heal. You help them to move forward. And not only that, but you help yourself to heal. You have people right now who can't move forward in their life because they haven't forgiven themselves for mistakes or things they have done to those in the past who they love. They are not able to stop living in the past or stop reliving pain and suffering that they have caused others because they have not told the person who they have hurt that they're sorry. Now, you can't fix every mistake you made or every issue in your life, but what you can do, you can tell those who are alive, those who you come in contact with on a regular basis, you can let them know, especially if you have hurt them deeply, that you are sorry. And by doing so, again, it helps them to heal, and it also helps them to forgive you, but it helps you to forgive yourself. And it helps you to forgive others when they make mistakes towards you. A lot of times, in order for us to forgive others of their mistakes when they have hurt us, we must be willing to forgive ourselves when we hurt people in our lives. In order to do so, we must admit our mistakes, and we must be willing to tell others we are sorry. So I just want to encourage you today to not live in the past. And you can do that by acknowledging the things, the wrongs that you have done to others in the past. Thanks again for joining us for another segment of Moments with the Master. Until next time, may God keep you and bless you.